of crazy comments from a lot of people that I see that label themselves influencers or conservative media or just regular day in, day out patriots. Listen, we will not win the 2024 election. Donald Trump will not win the 2024 election with the mindset of what I see that's going on. People judging new voters, judging people who are walking away from the left, joining the right. Donald Trump needs all the voters he can get. He needs all the celebrity influencers he can get. Doesn't matter if they're C level, B level, A level, like an Amber Rose, a Woe Vicky. These kind of people I'm seeing, these are people that I'm bringing over to the movement, working real hard with, and I see people judging these people. These people have 50 million followers combined with each other. You have to let people walk away. You have to let people grow up and understand, okay, well, you know what? Maybe I was brainwashed. Half of Hollywood is brainwashed. I would say more than half. People are waking up. They have followings. You have to support these people. We got to get everyone behind Trump 2024. If we don't get everybody behind Trump, if we don't get everybody registered to vote, we will get 4 more years of Joe Biden. So I need everybody out here to show support to anybody you see that is one time might have said something bad about Trump or possibly said something bad about the party. We need new voters. We need people to wake up. You have to make these people feel comfortable coming over to our side.
I 1000% agree with what Forgiato had to say there. And I talked about this in yesterday's video about Amber Rose and, you know, a certain person who I shall not name. A lot of you did actually name that person in the comment section yesterday. I was reading through, but I won't name the person. You know, I don't want to start any drama or whatever, you know. I don't think that's necessary in this case, but I 1000% agree. And all of you actually agreed too. We need everybody we can get. And I talked about this also in a video with, oh crap, what's his name? What's the comedian guy's name? He calls Donald Trump pig, D-I-C-K, Trump. Oh crap, I'm drawing a blank on his name. But I talked about that in his case. I was like, bro, like, why should we be bashing him if he's saying, and granted, he says voting for Trump is on the table, which I think he's kind of just trying to toe the line. Whatever. All right. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but hey, if you're going to vote for Trump, come on. Come on. Like, I'm trying to win, baby. I want to get these folks up out of office. Like, I'm not going to push people like Amber Rose away simply because she has I will admit, it's a terrible looking tattoo on her forehead, whatever. And she used to be a 304 and this and that. Like, so what? So what? Like, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's not like she's giving a speech in church. All right, nobody's advocating for her to stand in front of a congregation and give some type of political speech. That would be absolutely disgusting, in my humble opinion. That's not what church is for. She's speaking at the RNC. She's speaking at a convention. Like, why is it, like Forgiato said, she has 24 million followers. Even if she only got 1% of those folks to follow her lead and vote for Trump, 1%, just one. Do you know how many people that is? Like, what? And 1% isn't out of the realm of possibility. That's well within the realm of possibility. Just 1%. Even if it was half of 1% of her followers followed her lead. That is more votes for Uncle Trump, which could sway the election, right? As Trump would say, too big to rig should be the motto. Mainstream media had their take on it, and here's one clip because some of them were completely I'll just play the clip. Check it out.
When she says the left told me to hate Trump, but when you cut through the lies, you'll realize that life was better under him. That's a resonant argument for a lot of people. Now, of course, you have to discount the fact that there was a 100-year pandemic and everything that resulted from that. But if you clip that and put it on Instagram among, you know, the people that follow her, that could pick up a lot of traction. That resonates with folks.
Well, sure. And, you know, I would love to ask her, what lies? Like, it's one thing you can say when I cut through the lies. What lies are those? And then please tell me, how do you counter those lies you're talking about with the actual data that's there? We can talk about the emotions because economics are emotional, and if people don't feel it, I get
In
it.
fairness, the left has vilified Donald Trump.
I'm sorry. Define vilified.
You can argue the merits, but in fairness, the left has vilified Donald Trump. Threat to democracy, that he's a...
Is that a vilification or
he's
an
a
actual...
proto-fascist.
Is that a vilification? And I don't mean to argue with you, Jeff, but I disagree with this notion that the left has vilified Donald Trump. The left has pointed out multiple things he has done as president, has said as president, as a candidate for the presidency again, that deserve to be pointed out, deserve to be criticized. That's not vilification. That's acknowledging what is there for everyone to see. Now, if someone had called him, all sorts of names, in addition to that, then the name calling, I would say, is vilification. But the substance of what people are talking about, you can't call that vilification when you're hammering the guy on what he proposes for the country and to do to the country.
Well, have you ever hammered Joe Biden on what he has proposed and what he has already done to the country? Have you hammered Joe Biden on the racist comments he's already made? No. Okay, then I rest my case. Also, one thing that I have noticed is that whenever there's a black person that left-wing media has to criticize, they always send out the black people to try to criticize the black person. Joy Reid, of course, had something to say, which is kind of ironic, because she doesn't exude any type of joy ever. To have a name like Joy, you would think she'd be smiling and giggity and, peachy, and it's the exact opposite of Joy Reid. She also had something to say, and then you got that, right? But then you have the opposite. And Van Jones actually came out and spoke the truth. Check it out.
To have her as a speaker there, I think she has some 20-odd million Instagram followers. 23 million Instagram followers. So I just have to say, this stagecraft, the sequencing of this whole moment tonight, this is what Donald Trump does best. He's the producer-in-chief, him walking out, Lee Greenwood playing, and then first you're hearing from an everyday American talking, but then a social media influencer with 23 million followers who young people are looking at, and young voters are up for grabs this election. Throw in there also, Donald Trump is now a meme everywhere. Best not miss if you're going to shoot the king. This is what is on TikTok. This is what tens of millions of young voters who are not necessarily decided, they don't have longstanding party affiliation, are seeing. He's making a play there. It's very smart. And to be honest, she was one of the most effective communicators we've seen tonight.
I'll admit something. I had no idea who this was. So I looked it up, and then I called a friend of mine, and I said, do you know who this is? And they didn't know. Also a political person. But that's the point. They have put someone on the stage who reaches into this whole group of Americans who are not necessarily engaged at all in our politics or in our civics.
Bingo, she reaches a different crowd. Y'all remember in past videos, I've said this. I said the Republican Party, the new Republican Party, will look completely different. From the politicians to the voting base, it's going to look completely different. The politicians are going to be more like Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, those type of folks. Those are the type of politicians that we'll have on the Republican side of the political aisle. In terms of the voting base, you are going to see a lot of different people that you wouldn't have ever thought would vote Republican, but they're going to be Republicans. I.e., Amber Rose. If you saw her, you probably wouldn't think she's a Republican. She is. I've said this in several videos, and the videos are still up on the channel, so y'all know this. I've been saying this for a while because you can just see it happening. I see it every single day. You see more and more people who, if you looked at them, you're like, you had to guess. You're like, nah, they probably vote Democrat. No. Actually, they vote Republican, and they're voting for Uncle Trump this time around. So it's going to look completely different, and I think that when you try to bash somebody like that, that is not obviously a winning strategy. And all of you actually, I don't think I saw one person disagree, which was interesting. Which I guess not interesting, but I would somewhat expect at least one person, but I didn't see any comments where you guys were disagreeing, which I assume would happen. Because honestly, I feel like this person is kind of alone in that statement that they made. Having Amber Rose speak at the convention was shameful, or what? Where was that comment at? Let me see if I can pull it back up actually, because I want to read. Okay, so where was it at? They said a self-proclaimed SLUT with the face tattoo, whose only claim to fame was having sex with rappers, truly an embarrassment. Not a single voter will be mobilized by this person. Yeah, completely disagree. And I think that most people would disagree with that. I think that individual is completely on an island by themselves when making a statement like that. From the comments that I read online, from your comments, right, from different clips that people have made addressing the same issue, I think that person is alone. This is good for the Republican Party and Uncle Trump. Even Van Jones admits it.
These kinds of voices, I heard some grousing about this from some of the conservative. This is how you change the composition of the electorate.
Yeah, that was probably the most dangerous speak for the Democratic coalition. That is a young woman of color. She's describing the experience a lot of people have, feeling that maybe if you're around too many liberals, you might get criticized too much, or you might not be able to speak your mind. And she spoke to it really well. And she's way more famous than any of us up here. Yeah. I'm going to tell you that, way more famous. And so to the extent that these guys are trying to bust up our coalition, that was a bunker buster right there.
By the way, and it's one of the things we've been talking about, but...
Bunker buster. That's facts. And as I believe his name is Jennings said, he was like, I don't know who this is. I called people who are in politics and asked them, like, do you know who this is? They didn't know either. But that's the point. That is the point. You don't have to convince 99.9% of Republicans to go and support Uncle Trump. They're already doing it. You've got to convince the people that are in the middle and some of the people that are on the left to come over to this side to vote for Uncle Trump. You're not convincing people that are already Republicans, that are already at the convention. Like, they're at the convention for a reason, because they're supporting Uncle Trump. You got to convince people that aren't there. And Amber Rose types speak to those people. So when you try to bash them, it just... I'm happy that so many people came out and spoke out against what that individual had to say, because I thought it was necessary. And like I said in yesterday's video, I felt it was necessary to touch on it. I'm not going to say the person's name because, like I said, I'm sure they mean well, okay? I don't think that person wants to see Uncle Trump lose. I think that was more of a knee-jerk reaction to something that the person saw, and they just posted it. Right, which once you posted it, it's out there. Doesn't matter if you delete it or not. So I don't want to necessarily go after the person, which is why I don't name them. Of course, I know you guys are gonna say the person's name in the comment section, and that's fine, right? That's completely fine. But I won't contribute to naming the person at all. But yeah, man, I'm happy to see that the Republican Party as a whole, one, is growing. Right, because that's a beautiful thing. Because we are up against monsters, and so it's a beautiful thing to see it growing. But then also to see people going against what that individual said. It was great to see, which I expected, but just getting that confirmation, is different, right? You expect that, but then once you see it, it's like yes. We're on the track to win, baby. We got too much momentum to stop it now. Let's go. So, yeah, y'all let me know your thoughts, your opinions on all of that, all right? And, hey, I actually agree with Van Jones. How often will I ever be able to say that one? Not often. It's probably the first and the last time. But hey, y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.